Some deadly women become bad.
Good.
Others are just born that way.
There is such a thing as pure evil.
A glamorous housewife swaps the suburbs for a life of crime.
She was amazed at how she felt murdering her husband.
Behind the badge is a killer cop.
She's the most cold-hearted person I've ever dealt with in my life.
And an innocent girl is tortured by a monster.
The pain that she endured can be compared to the pain that Christ endured when he was crucified.
For these deadly women, killing comes naturally.
You deserve it.
Because they're born bad. In the mid-1960s, Indianapolis police confront horror in a house full of children.
She's gone.
The girl is emaciated, covered in bruises and burns.
Cigarettes had been put out on her body. 100 of them.
This young girl was tortured.
It was a horrible, painful trip into death. Unbelievable. What the hell is that?
7 words are carved into her flesh.
I'm a prostitute and proud of it.
I need to know what the hell has gone on here.
Suddenly, a girl comes forward.
She says, "You get me out of here, and I'll tell you everything."
Her story will shock America and unmask a sadistic killer.
How could a sane person do what they did to this girl?
Earlier that year,
Paula? Mama?
Is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Gertrude Banishevsky is living on the edge.
This afternoon. Johnny? Hey, Ma. Where you been?
I ain't been nowhere.
You better behave yourself.
The one-time beauty is worn down by poverty and parenthood.
Gertrude was 37 years old and had this house full of kids.
Where you girls going now?
Just out, you know.
She had practically no income. She had some child support, which was not a lot in those days. And she made some money by ironing, and that's the only income she had.
Natty Bumpo was a young Indianapolis reporter when he investigated the Banishevsky case.
She had 7 children in the house of her own, and all the children had friends. There was at least that many or twice that many floating in and out of the house on an almost daily basis.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Nothing, we're going.
What do you mean we're going through?
One of the many visitors is 16-year-old Sylvia Likens.
Do you live around here?
No, they're gonna stay here tonight.
What do you mean they're staying
They
here
got nowhere
tonight?
else to go.
Pretty Sylvia and her sister,
girls from?
polio victim Jenny, are the daughters of carnival workers.
Well, up in your room, Paula.
Come on,
All of
let's
yous.
go.
They were invited to spend the night, and they did.
Soon, this house will be Sylvia's home and her prison.
Sorry, I'm looking for my daughters.
When her father, Lester, meets Gertrude, he makes a fateful proposition.
Here they are now. Hey, girls.
Well, come on in.
He asked Mrs. Banashevsky if she would board the girls for him while they went out on the carnival circuit.
No, we got plenty of room here.
She said yeah, and negotiated a price of $20 a week.
That's great. That sounds great.
Now, there is one thing. Now, I'm going to need that $20.
All right.
I'm going to need it up front.
All right.
Okay? Because
I don't know that Gertrude Banashevsky ever made a rational economic decision in her life. This certainly wasn't one.
Yeah. I got $20 right here.
I'm sure she resented the burden, even though she had agreed to take it on.
All right. Now, I'm going to need the money every week.
Sure, I mean, we'll be on the road, but I get it to you.
I need it on time.
You know, I get it to you.
Well, I want to
Lester has made a grave mistake.
Promise.
Okay, because I want to take those girls to church.
Gertrude is the last person you would leave your children with.
Okay.
She was cold, distant sometimes, giving one the impression that she's not exactly there all the time.
In 1965, psychologist Edward Strain gives Gertrude Banashevsky a simple diagnostic test. He asks her to draw a self-portrait.
She drew a woman who had long fingers, and at each finger was kind of clawed or pointed, which is suggestive of sadism, hurting people. The diagnosis I came up with was hysterical personality with overdetermined sadistic trends.
With 9 children now in her care, Gertrude is under immense pressure.
The house wasn't equipped for 2 people, let alone the crowd that was living there. I mean, it was grim. Something out of Charles Dickens, almost.
It's not here. I looked after you 2 girls for nothing! Now get up here!
When Lester's payment doesn't turn up, she erupts, punishing the girls for their father's failure.
Now bend over! You bitch!
But this is not just anger about the money. Gertrude enjoys it.
What's important for the sadist isn't so much the infliction of pain on their victim, but the thrill they get from knowing that another person is suffering at their hands. That's what turns on the sadist.
You ready now, Jenny?
No, Jenny. Just...
Bend over!
For Sylvia, it's just the beginning.
I'm not finished with you yet.
From now on, Gertrude will find any excuse to lash out at the defenseless girl.
Now stand up! Take your chairs! Come on, hurry up!
Almost textbook psychological games being played.
Get that smirk off your face, Johnny.
Gertrude playing those in her own mind, projecting, scapegoating. That's very much what was going on there.
If that check isn't here next week, we'll do this all over again. You got it?
Jealousy is a very common motivator for abuse and murder.
Former FBI profiler Candace DeLong believes Sylvia was a constant reminder of everything Gertrude had lost.
Gertrude didn't have any of the things that young Sylvia had. Sylvia was pretty and she was clean, she was a virgin. I think Gertrude was jealous.
Jealous and cruel,
You're a dirty little slut.
Gertrude will recruit innocent children
You can stay down here till you learn your lesson. Shut up!
in a sadistic vendetta against Sylvia Likens.
The pain that she endured on a daily basis, I think, can be compared to the pain that Christ endured when he was crucified. But he went in a day.
Sylvia Likens is an innocent 16-year-old in the clutches of a vicious, sadistic woman.
What are you looking so scared for?
Gertrude Banishevsky.
You deserve it!
I think she knew everything she did. I think she enjoyed it.
She doesn't act alone. Gertrude cruelly manipulates her own children, turning them into willing torturers.
It's not unusual in child abuse cases where a household has many children in it that the abuser singles out only one child for the physical abuse and engages the other children in committing it and acting it out for the abuser.
You had an adult who was an authority figure to these kids, authorizing this cruelty.
The mother sends out a message, in this case, Gertrude to her own children. If I can do this to her, then I can do this to you.
Worse is yet to come.
Hold it down. Try that, goddamn little slut. You burned my daughters. Now I'm gonna burn you. Harley!
When Sylvia is accused of spreading rumors,
You see this? You gonna get this?
Gertrude's sadism finds new extremes.
With a sewing needle, drawing blood, she started the lettering, which was carved on Sylvia's abdomen.
Keep still! Pin her down, Johnny! Hold her!
I think that Gertrude carved the words, "I am a prostitute and proud of it," in Sylvia's stomach because she was already planning to murder her.
Alone in her agony, Sylvia's only thought is to protect her sister.
Psychologically, she was in a prison. And I think she submitted to a lot of the beatings and the torture, possibly thinking, they can do it to me, and if they do it to me, they won't do it to my sister. She'll be safe.
Get up! Come on! Get up! Now sit down!
The beatings are leaving Sylvia
We're gonna
weak,
write a letter.
her body wasting away.
We're gonna write a letter to Mr.
So
and
Gertrude
Mrs.
makes a
Likens.
desperate plan to cover up her crimes.
Now, write to Mr. and Mrs. Likens.
Gertrude started getting her to write notes.
I went off with a gang
And the theme was that
of boys.
Sylvia went with a gang of boys, and they asked what they wanted, and they got what they wanted, and then they beat me up, and blah, 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 and then they brought me back here.
Come on, Sylvia, write, goddammit!
after 3 months of Gertrude's pitiless brutality,
At midnight.
Sylvia is powerless to resist.
They said they would pay me.
Sylvia had become something like a concentration camp victim.
Good.
At some point, she lost the will to live.
I don't want to see you again.
Forensic pathologist Janice Amatuzio believes Sylvia's severe physical condition affected her state of mind.
Our will to live is very intimately linked to our immune system. When somebody has numerous sores, when they have infection, it usually indicates to me that they are not getting sufficient nourishment, vitamins, water, etc., in order to give the body the tools so it can heal itself. This will cause depression, and with depression, the will to live just simply trickles away.
She's gone.
Sylvia certainly must have felt there was no way out. There was no one to help her, no one to save her, including her own sister.
What the hell's this? Oh, God.
Gertrude rallied the troops, that being her children and the neighborhood children, and told them what to say when the cops got there.
This time, Jenny Likens won't obey.
I need to know what the hell's gone on here.
Get me out of here and I'll tell you everything.
She couldn't save her sister, but she can help catch her killer. Gertrude Banashevsky is found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
I think Gertrude tortured Sylvia to vent her own anger and frustration. She devalued Sylvia in her mind, and it made her feel good.
I've never seen any human being who did what she did and enjoyed it as well.
When someone born bad is in a position of power and trust, the deadly fallout can scar even the toughest town. It's 1995. In a New Orleans restaurant, a brother and sister plead for their lives. They know their attacker. She's been their trusted friend and protector. Now, police officer Antoinette Frank is their executioner.
I think she's evil and sick and the most cold-hearted person I've ever dealt with in my life.
Antoinette Frank was the last person in the world any police department should have ever hired.
Oh, hey.
Hi, how you doing? Antoinette, nice to meet you.
Antoinette Frank dreamt of becoming a police officer from a young age.
Why do you want to join the force?
It's always been something I've been keen on, and I just really want to help with, crime and that sort of thing, and think I'd be just the perfect person.
but she should never have been given a badge.
Right, never been asked to leave, been fired.
Antoinette Frank initially was rejected on the job because of her psychological evaluation.
That's it. We'll have a look at all that stuff and,
The police department's process at the time then referred her to a psychiatric evaluation by a medical doctor.
The doctor finds her a dangerous liar with a troubled history. But Antoinette will not be denied. And the force is desperate for recruits.
They had a loophole built into the system whereby she could go to a private practitioner and get an okay.
And eventually he gave her the passing qualification she needed.
Once in the field, it's clear this 23-year-old isn't cut out for life on the force.
She was a terrible police officer who constantly had to go through supervisory review.
Antoinette Frank was a lousy police officer. She was very non-aggressive. She was timid. I've heard her described as sort of mousy.
According to author and former federal agent Chuck Hustmeyer, Antoinette has another problem. Her best friend is a 17-year-old drug dealer named Rogers Lacaze.
She got him a cell phone, she got him a pager, she bought him clothes. She just doted on this kid. Antoinette used to take Rogers Lacaze riding around in her police car when she was working.
Illinois, 1054 now. Hello? Hey, what's up now? Hey, it's just...
He answered calls with her. He went to traffic accidents. He even drove her police car.
Just here, pull up. Hurry up now,
If I didn't have so many court documents backing it up, I wouldn't believe it even as a novel because it's just so strange.
I think Frank was attracted to Rogers Lacaze because he was young and he looked up to her and she could dominate and control him.
Like most police officers at the time, Antoinette does security work on the side. She guards the Kim An Vietnamese restaurant.
In the 1990s, it was absolutely essential for a New Orleans police officer to work a security detail just to pay the bills. They worked restaurants, bars, special events.
So how we do that? We did really well. Yeah, business is going really great. We made $25,000 tonight.
Or having a police officer at the door in uniform is a simple and fairly cost-effective way to deter armed robbery.
The restaurant is owned by the Vu family.
Shouldn't be too much longer. I just finish up and clean up and we get to go home.
The Vu family gave her birthday presents. They had lent her money when she needed it. They were very nice to her.
Thanks for your help, madam. Anytime. We enjoy having you here.
Their faith is tragically misplaced. They have welcomed a woman into their lives who is an ice-cold killer. In 1995, the streets of New Orleans are a tough beat for police. But there's a greater danger. Working within their ranks, a ruthless killer. Officer Antoinette Frank.
By the time she became a police officer, she was a full-blown full-blown sociopath. And she used her position that that badge gave her to use and abuse others.
She's what you would colloquially consider a psycho.
Off duty, Antoinette does security at a Vietnamese restaurant with fellow officer Ronnie Williams. But just like her police work, this job isn't going smoothly.
She thought Ronnie was getting more hours and more pay as opposed to her. And I think that's kind of what triggered her into deciding to go to get the cash out of the place, and she felt like that would even things up.
That's okay.
With her criminal sidekick, Rogers Lacaze, Antoinette plots robbery and deadly revenge. The Vu family's trusted guard is now their attacker. Officer Ronnie Williams, a father of two, dies instantly.
They went there with the full intention of killing everyone there just to get the cash that may be on that location.
From their hiding place, Chow and Wok Vu watch in horror as their siblings are cornered by a monster.
Very little planning whatsoever. Just total chaos and evil thoughts.
Terrified, they give her what she wants.
The survivors actually could tell us they heard them begging for their life. She actually shot him execution style.
They were on their knees, on the kitchen floor, and she fired 9 bullets into them. This was a bloodbath. I mean, here you have an active police officer committing murder, and one of the victims is another police officer. It was unheard of.
It made me sick to my stomach. I could have vomited because the thought that a fellow police officer could kill another officer for the sake of money.
An hour after watching the murder of her brother and sister, Chow Vu makes a run for her life. Antoinette has returned to make sure there are no survivors. But Chow Vu is lucky. Police arrive just in time. At first, they assume Antoinette was the first officer on the scene.
Ironically, I felt like we had received an incredible break by having a police officer as an eyewitness on the scene.
shaking in terror, Chow Vu finally reveals the awful truth. The killer is Officer Antoinette Frank.
It does take a particularly vicious, cold-blooded person to just gun down 3 helpless people who knew you.
Antoinette Frank and Rogers Lacaze are both found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death.
Neither Antoinette nor Rogers has gotten what they deserve yet. When the sentence is carried out, then they will have what they deserve.
I've handled, assisted, or supervised well over 1,000 homicides. Antoinette Frank, without a doubt, is the most cold-hearted person I have ever dealt with.
For some women, killing can become a lifestyle choice.
Most people that get involved in violent crime had horrendous childhoods and suffered a lot of abuse. Other people that get involved in violent crime were just born bad.
In a Mexican jail in 1969, one woman rules the yard. Fearful inmates have given her a special name.
It was La Pistolera, which roughly translates into the woman gunfighter.
No one defies La Pistolera and lives to tell the tale.
She took what she wanted. If you got in her way, you could be dead.
Nine years earlier, in Independence, Missouri,
Oh, yeah. Come on.
20-year-old Sharon Kinney is locked in a loveless marriage.
She fancied herself somebody greater. She married a young college man with the idea that he could spirit her away. He was going to be her knight in shining armor.
Sharon isn't interested in the life of a 1960s housewife.
Sharon didn't like the religious attitudes of her husband, James. And so from that point on, it started deteriorating.
Is that you, Sharon?
Husband James wants a divorce.
I'm talking to you. Well, you're not talking to me? Oh, hey. Well, you don't
His
say
wife
hello, wait a
is
minute.
more interested in cashing in his life insurance with a bullet.
You're a whore.
$25,000 in 1960 was a lot of money. And she wanted the money. Plus, she wanted to be able to continue her promiscuous lifestyle without hindrance from her religious husband.
For the first time, she feels the thrill of the kill. It won't be the last.
She was amazed at how she felt the adrenaline rush of murdering her husband.
When police investigate her husband's death, she coolly pins the killing on her own daughter.
She called the police department and said that Dana Kinney, James's 2.5-year-old daughter, had accidentally shot her father while she was playing with the gun.
The heavily oiled weapon has no fingerprints. Dubious police accept her story. Sharon gets away with murder.
Dana could have fired the pistol, so they ruled it an accidental homicide.
From now on, Sharon Kinney will live her life by the law of the gun.
Sharon Kinney was a sociopath. She had no guilt, no remorse about hurting anyone. She had no empathy for human life other than her own.
One month later, widow Sharon has her insurance payout, a new life, and a new man. Car salesman Walter Jones.
Walter was married to a very beautiful woman named Patricia, and they had 2 children.
Sharon wants Walter all to herself.
Well, I thought that maybe we'd get married and have a family.
I'm already married.
We'll leave your wife.
I'm not leaving my wife. I got responsibilities.
She announced to him then that she was pregnant.
You need to take more
He threw a
responsibility
fit.
for yourself. I'm not having this conversation with you.
Walter Jones is playing with a deadly woman. She'll get her way with murder.
Sharon Kinney wanted what Sharon Kinney wanted, and she wanted it now.
I hate you.
Sharon Kinney is a housewife who's traded life in the suburbs for a life of crime.
She didn't want to be a normal, average American woman. She wanted excitement, and crime gave that to her.
Just months after shooting her husband, Sharon's having problems with her new lover, Walter Jones.
I hate you.
He doesn't want to leave his wife, Patricia. Sharon has a solution to people like Mrs. Jones. She kills them.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Just do it. Get out.
She lures Patricia to a secluded lane.
Move around to the front of the car. Keep moving.
This deadly sociopath doesn't think twice before taking another innocent life.
Get down. Turn around.
Police discover that Sharon is the last person to see Patricia alive. They arrest her on suspicion of murder.
It was my sister-in-law, and I loved her dearly. She was absolutely precious. She was very precious.
Walter Jones' sister Joyce was just 12 when Patricia was killed. She'll never forget the moment she locked eyes with Sharon Kinney in court.
She looked at me, and it just felt like her eyes just pierced right through my soul. It was the creepiest thing. She looked evil.
Walter Jones never forgot Sharon Kinney either.
I remember every time he would come to visit, he would always wake up screaming her name.
In court, she causes other nightmares.
Sharon Kinney was found not guilty. And one of the reasons she was found not guilty is because they never found the murder weapon.
Set free, Sharon embraces the criminal life, spending the next few years running with the mafia in Kansas City. Then she heads to Mexico.
Oh, that car.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
What else did you
She meets a man by the name of Francisco Paredes Ordonez.
want to have some more fun?
Yeah.
He's met the wrong girl.
This was her chance to mug this guy, take his wallet and his car keys, and head back north.
This time, she doesn't beat the law.
Sharon was very flippant. Yeah, I'm going to get out of this. Yeah, I'm invincible. Yeah, I'm bulletproof.
A Mexican court finds Sharon Kinney guilty of murder and gives her 10 years in prison. But a foreign jail is no match for this deadly woman.
On December 7th, 1969, upon the conclusion of a very busy visiting hours, visiting Sunday, when the guards did a bed check of all the cells, Sharon Kinney's cell was empty.
The one they call La Pistolera is gone.
That's quite a feat, and she pulled it off. That's the kind of person she was. Nothing could stand in her way, not even prison.
No trace of her has ever been found.
I do not believe she's dead. I believe that anybody as smart and crafty as Sharon Kinney would still be out there.
These deadly women were destined to kill from the day they were born. A brutal sadist, Gertrude Banishevsky took pleasure in a young girl's torture. Sharon Kinney was an outlaw who lived by the rule of a gun. And Antoinette Frank destroyed the very people she was pledged to protect. Deep-seated urges made them dangerous to know. These were frightening women, following an instinct to kill. They were born bad.